Welcome everyone to our study session tonight. Glad you could be here with us and be part of this discussion. I was going to welcome our new board member, Wiley Williams, and I couldn't see him. He's hiding behind Pam. Do you want to stand up, Wiley, so everybody can see you? Wiley, with John's pending retirement, Wiley was voted in his precinct and will begin his term, first board meeting in January. So welcome.
Thank you.
We're excited to have you as part of our group.
Are we ever?
You know, between you and Dr. Peterson, this is going to be a meeting, isn't it? Speaking of Dr. Peterson, there's going to be a retirement open house for him here in this room on Monday, December 16th from 3:30 until 5:30. For you board members, this coming Monday, we have our legislative breakfast with the representatives from the Senate and the House of Representatives, and it will be at the Weber State Davis campus. It's in your packet, but that's always a good meeting to attend. Makes you appreciate some of the other things in life. This Wednesday night we have Fremont High School's Teen Center open house and ribbon cutting. Tuesday, thank you. Tuesday, December 10th, 4:30 to 6. If we can make it, that'd be awesome. Those that we've done this year have been great events, and what a blessing that is to those kids that have those centers that they can lean on when they need to. And then our USBA conference is actually the second week of January this year, January 9th to 11th, and I think Pam's getting the information out to us. Janice, do you have an update for us on our joint legislative committee and group, please?
I do. I'm pretty excited about this because it's been, anybody who's been around knows this has been an issue for years. There is great concern that the legislature consistently has passed sizable numbers of education-related bills. And it presents challenges at all different levels. And some of them, well, first of all, this will give you an idea. In 2022, there were 28 new rules and 17 new programs. A year later, in 2023, instead of 28, there were 39 new rules and 10 new programs. And this past year in the legislature in January, there were 62 education-related rules and 10 new programs. It just becomes really, really difficult. The legislature doesn't, the effort has been to make them understand what this does to individual school districts. And so USBA has come up with an excellent program, an excellent effort, and it's called Push Pause, because that's what they hope to have the legislators do as they get ready to pass a new bill. Push pause, because not only is the volume of legislation, it puts a financial strain on districts, because lots of times they come without additional funding and they force districts to reallocate limited resources. There is a weight on the administration. School administrators are facing an increased workload as they work to understand and implement these new laws. There's impact on teachers and students. Teachers face increased stress due to new programs, curriculum changes, testing requirements, potentially leading to teacher burnout and lower job satisfaction. That they're working to seek solutions, and the solutions, this is just an introduction because the legislative session this year is January 21 through March 7. And we will be asked as a school board and as community members, as school staff, to please jump in and help participate so that we can encourage the legislators to push pause and understand the repercussions of some of these bills they're passing. So this isn't the end, this is just the beginning, and we'll be hearing more about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Janice. Appreciate that. Superintendent.
Thank you so much. A couple of just celebratory announcements, board, that I wanted to make you aware of. We held our inaugural, or our first event around military family support here at the district level right before the Thanksgiving break. And I want to give a shout out to Jamie Ellis and the entire Student Access department. Jamie, remind me about how many people participated in that?
150 to 200.
150 to 200 individuals showed up for that inaugural event. It was held right here at the district office, all sorts of activities. And I'm just super proud of the fact that Jamie's leadership is bringing more advocacy around our military students and their families, and we're really excited about the partnership we're putting together there. So kudos to Jamie. As you all know, last night we celebrated Haven Bay's opening with quite a community outpouring and participation rate. I wanted just to give a shout out again to all involved with putting that affair together and making sure that we acknowledge publicly Principal Justin Skeen and all of the hard work of his faculty and staff to get that school open. And then Emily Euler, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. If you hadn't, I think most of the board members were able to get to the Christmas Tree Jubilee last week, and I have no words to describe what went on that night. But Emily, would you mind just giving just a couple of details to the board, because not everybody was able to get there. Okay, a couple highlights. Thank you.
Do I need to? I will just talk loud. That's right. All right, there we go. It was an amazing week last week. We got to do a lot of really cool things, but we were raising money once again for teen centers to try to finish off our funding to complete teen centers in each of our high schools. And as you all know, we do a special ask during the event, and we raised almost $300,000 in that ask. The year before, we raised $224,000. And that was our highest year to date. So people really showed up. Our community really showed up. We our live auction ended up raising about $20,000 more this year. This will for sure be our highest earning year that we've had ever with Christmas Tree Jubilee. And with that, we will be able to make sure all of the teen centers are funded and paid for and open to support our students. And you know, through that event, we also help fund all of our special needs activities and class grants and school grants and all of the amazing things. But we could not have done it without the support really of every person in this room and each of you. We've got the most amazing volunteers that show up. They're there all week. From tree setup day to tree delivery day, it's just really an amazing community effort, and we're just really lucky that we get to be part of it. So, is that?
I want to give Emily and her team a special shout out. I know we've got the best foundation director this side of the Mississippi, and I'm not kidding about that. She is just amazing, and we appreciate her dedication so much. So thank you. That's all I got.
That was short. Let's move on with some presentations. Mr. Findlay, please.
Yeah, President, Board, it's a privilege to be here. As you recall, this past year, the Board passed a policy regarding the naming of facilities. And it's been a practice in our district for many years. In fact, this room is named after our late board president, Greg Richardson. So it's always fun to be able to recognize an individual who's had a contribution in education, and sometimes we're able to do that by designating a room or a facility in honor of them. So with that, it's again my privilege to name a very special room here in our district office. Many of you may not know where this room is or even that it exists, but for those that do, it has been a very special place for one particular person here over the last 23 years. It doesn't have a name, it's just kind of informally referred to as Robert's Room. And so I would like at this time to actually officially recognize this room on the side of the building as the Dr. Peterson Memorial Lavatory and Shower. This placard will go near the door as a tribute to Robert's legacy, and also a reminder to please lock the door when you're in there. And I will not share any other stories related to that.
Give it to Royce, he's gonna put up. Yeah, I'll give it to Royce. I have to say, there's a lot of people in this district office who don't even know that there is a shower, but there is, and I'm the only one who's used it. And I have replaced at my own cost at least 3 shower heads over the years because they get kind of clogged up with the hard waters. And I did not charge the district. Yes.
No more stories, Robert. No more stories.
And just the recognition, Robert. Now, Dr. Peterson will turn some time to you for the audit report, please. Audit update.
Well, the audit committee met this last Monday. It was Monday, right? And and we had a very good year audit-wise and financially. There were no findings, and there were no areas of concern, because sometimes there are findings that they have to find, and but also typically there's areas of concern, like you should be concerned about this and be looking for that, but there was no findings or areas of concern. And I printed off for the board a fund balance, because people want to know, do we have any findings and where our fund balance is in, and so I'll pass those to the left page. Sorry, did I give enough?
You're the only one who understands it, so you should have.
We'll have Matt get us from Squire and Company during the open board meeting here, but just as highlights, in that first column, the general fund, we had a change in fund balance, so a surplus of $3.5 million at the bottom. And you could see the changes by category. We added $3.2 million to the unassigned. Debt service, the fund balance went down, but that's planned. The state doesn't want us to sit on piles of money there as we manage our debt payments to our bonds, previous bonds. Capital projects also is down $27 million, but that is planned as well. But you can see the capital breakdown. Bond projects are $40 million, so that bond project surplus will be done as soon as the schools are done. Textbooks, we ended the year with $3 million in that balance. There's a small Johnson Controls and energy management. Maintenance project, $2.3 million. Safety, $40,000, and unassigned, $14.8 million. That's the largest unassigned we've had in capital ever. Then you can see the other school lunch is down by 1.2 million, but they still have a healthy fund balance of 4. And that is funds remaining from COVID still. And we're tasked to have a management fund. We don't want it sitting on too much money at the state. And so we are spending that down. Student activities is flat, and the foundation is up. Emily's doing a really good job at the foundation. She just is. She's on it. So it's been a very good year for Weaver School District, and I'm glad to be leaving you on a high note. So, yeah, that's my report, President.
Thank you. Dr. Peterson. Can I ask you one quick question? Johnson Controls, Robert, it seems like that Johnson Controls was an ongoing contract we had for a number of years.
Yeah, it's well, we leased, we borrowed about 24 million to upgrade all kinds of controls. And so that 24 million was being spent, and now we pay it back in the savings from our utilities. And we do have some questions on what the savings are, because we have saved a lot on utilities, there's no doubt, as I compared year over year. And we've grown more facilities too, so and more air conditioned facilities. So, but we want to make sure that we're getting our bang for our buck, but it looks like we are good on that Johnson.
Thank you.
Just as a member of the audit committee, I want to say thanks to our team. Robert and his team did a great job. When you think about it's not just a rubber stamp that we have what they call a clean opinion in the CPA world. That's well earned, and it's a great thing. And the fund balance, health, and just the things are run so well helps with our rating with the bonding agencies, and actually we get a better, lower cost, save much money in interest costs. So this is a great thing. Say thanks Robert and his team and for a great job that they've done.
Also, shout out, he's here today, Seth Pilkington. He's the one who handles the finances and the audit, produces the financial report, and he works directly with the auditors. He's done a great job.
Great.
And we are a AAA rated with Fitch on ratings agency, which is the highest rating you can have.
That came up about 3 years ago.
So we're really proud of that.
Yeah, that's significant.
Thank you. Wonderful. Nick Harris.
Thank you, President Widdowson. Board, Superintendent Butters, thought it'd be a good idea for us just to update you on just the happenings of AI, how we're doing with artificial intelligence. Since we started our agreement with our new AI this year, and we would love to do that. And I thought it would be most appropriate to bring in a digital teaching and learning specialist. You can hear a little bit from each one of them. I'll introduce them. This is Blake Pope and Jamie Barrows, Monica Widdowson, and Alan Reese. So we have 2 secondary specialists and 2 elementary specialists. Best in the business. We put on a technology conference at the end of the year in June every year, and we have over 550 teachers attend a 2-day conference on their own time. And usually we try to get a good keynote 2 or sometimes 3 years in advance. We have Matt Miller coming this year, who's an amazing author, educational technology author, and in his new book, AI for Educators, this is the dedication in the first page, and it couldn't be more apropos, because what we're doing is preparing students for their future, not our present. And I don't know, it's also really timely to have this presentation right now, because we just passed the 2-year anniversary for ChatGPT. So I don't know if you realize, but it's already 2 years old. And in the last year, they've gained over 100 million users. And so it is a guarantee that it's going to be the student's future. And so we're trying to prepare them for that. ChatGPT came out on the scene early on. Everyone else is kind of coming along as well, but you've got Gemini and Claude and Llama and Copilot and all this stuff that's popping up. But ChatGPT is sort of the OG, if you will. And we decided to use School AI, which uses ChatGPT but in a safe way, and Jamie's going to talk about that. But basically, if you think about it, every one of our students, every one of our Weber School District students this year has their own private tutor. The teachers have their own Copilot lesson creator and someone that can make activities. So we wanted to talk to you about that a little bit.
Great. Superintendent, President, board members, we're excited to be with you today because this endeavor right here has been the thing that's taken the majority of our time since Power School has rolled out, and it's been really fun too. I hear it all the time, and I say it all the time. There's never been a better time to be a teacher because of the technology that we have available to us. So in the next couple minutes here, we're going to tackle 4 quick things for you. With what we've been up to, we want to talk about some of the essential training that we've underwent and that we've been trying to give to educators here in Weber School District. Jamie's going to cover a little bit about what we're doing to make sure that we're using this in a safe and ethical way. Monica's going to talk a little bit about what we're seeing right now, the wins that we're witnessing in schools, and then Alan's going to follow this up by talking about the places that we're trying to go with this, what we're hopefully going to be able to accomplish with this. So back last year in about third quarter during a board meeting, we talked a little bit about what we were trying to do with artificial intelligence here. And since then, we've done an extensive amount of work. We knew how big of a deal this was going to be, and so we wanted to make sure that we took time to establish a very viable foundation to build on. We wanted to make sure that we weren't the first ones to roll it out. We wanted to make sure that we were the ones to roll it out correctly. And so to start this process, if you recall, we talked about how we ran a pilot with 65 of our teachers that was K through 12. So we had, we had some teachers from younger grades. We had some, that were teaching high school seniors in this. And we had them pilot 2 different tools that met the criteria of what we were looking for. And when we surveyed them again at the end of this, and we asked if you could only pick one of these tools, which one would you want to use? 64 of those people responded to the tool that we ended up choosing. As part of this preparation, we made sure that we consulted with other local education agencies in the state of Utah, primarily Jordan School District, which was the first major school district in Utah to start using artificial intelligence on a daily basis with their students. And we were able to gather a lot of insight from them about some do's and don'ts. And in conjunction with that, that also opened up another door for us. Members on our team also participate in a statewide AI collaborative that consists of at least 1 or 2 representatives from every school district, most every school district in the state of Utah, as well as some of the larger charters as well too. And that's been really great as we hear what each of the different each one of these different agencies, what they're going through, questions that their board members have had for them, questions that their administrators have had for them. And when we work together on this, we've been able to find, great solutions. Furthermore, this collaborative led to the Utah Education Network to want to go through an RFP process to vet some of these tools that they knew that most school districts were going to want to purchase. And we also had members of our team who sat on that RFP that reviewed these products and met with these vendors and were able to ask the tough questions. And luckily, the tool that we chose was one of the ones that was selected by that RFP committee so that we were able to do our due diligence in that regard. And then comes the really big part. After we had a tool, there needs to be somebody who knows how to use this. And more importantly, somebody who knows how to use this and then train other people how to use it as well too. And that was another undertaking that our team went through. And it's been really great. Since then, we've been able to go through training for some of these really important groups as well. So in each one of the buildings that we have here in the district, we have 1 to 2 teachers who serve as an ed tech coach. They're full-time teachers, and they're the teacher in that building who's got that, who's a quick go-to, somebody who can help provide those basic quick answers to those basic quick questions or provide some of that basic training. Of course, they're not expected to be able to do, what the 4 of us do. Their class is their number 1 priority, but it's at least somebody in the building who knows who knows the answer to a question or is familiar with what's talking about. So during the first quarter of the school year, we were able to train all of the ed tech coaches in the district about how to use this new platform that we have. And it was really fun. A lot of them had already been using it. They were just like us, were very excited to have a technology like this, and they knew what we were talking about before we could even get there. As all of you know as well too, librarians have had a small shift in their focus as well too this year. The library technology specialists in secondary schools have also been trained on how to use School AI and have hopefully been able to start working with some of their faculties to be able to answer questions as they come up with this. And then a thing that we were really excited about, our curriculum department here in the school district puts in a lot of effort and does a lot of great work in our fall professional learning day. And the curriculum department had the four of us lead sessions about this new tool in both the secondary conference that they held and in the elementary conference. So we had the opportunity to get in front of teachers that day who selected to go to those sessions and wanted to learn more, and it's been incredibly valuable. And now I'm going to pass it over to Jamie so she can talk a little bit about the work that we're doing in regards to safety with these tools.
Thank you so much for having us here this evening. So before I start talking about safety, one important thing to note is with any AI tool, for instance ChatGPT, one of the reasons why it's free for its users is because it uses its data, the user's data, to train its large language model. And so that comes with a little bit of stuff that we have to think about for teachers and student privacy. So for instance, we want to make sure our teachers are following all state and federal student privacy laws and not inadvertently putting personal identifiable information into those large language models. And so we want to make sure we're training our educators to be cautious and mindful about the student data that they're putting in there. So one of the things that we've been doing to ensure safety is we've been verifying and making sure that there's DPAs that exist for any AI tool that educators use in this district. And the DPA ensures that it won't store any student data unnecessarily. And School AI has signed a DPA with us, and so this is a safe thing that teachers can use. Another thing that we're doing is a walled garden. And so in order for students to access it, we want to make sure that it's a controlled digital environment, and School AI offers that as well. And so it's able to ensure that all of that student data that is entered in there is in a secured system and not shared with outside parties. And another thing, worry about AI. AI is really cool, it's a great tool, but it's not perfect. There are things like AI bias, where it's not because the programmers who developed this told it to be biased, but sometimes it's just the users, because it's trained by the users. It can be in that original data set. And then also AI hallucination. Sometimes it can come up with misleading problems in like the thing that it gives you. And so we're training our teachers to always make sure it has a human in the loop. And so something that we've told our teachers to do is make sure that you are overviewing and looking over anything that AI is outputting, like a lesson plan, especially when it comes to a substantive decision. And so anything that will impact a student significantly, we want to make sure that a teacher is not just relying on that, for instance, a grade, that it's just not AI is 100% grading it, that a teacher is able to review it and ensure that it is safe and fair. And so just our training and focus for data and ethical use is we're making sure teachers know about privacy and data protection, make sure they're not entering student personal information into platforms like ChatGPT that don't have that DPA in place. Same thing, bias and AI ethical use, making sure that they're recognizing that and recognizing that it's a good tool, but it's not perfect, that they need to make sure that they're reviewing that output. And then also to how to integrate it effectively in their classroom to make sure that they are using it in a good way, safe way, that is helpful for us, that we can keep our students safe. Okay, and I'm going to turn the time over to Monica.
All right, well, I get the fun part. So what we're seeing in the district right now is just so much excitement and enthusiasm with this new product. It is saving our teachers tons of time, which is what we want. We want them efficient, but we want them to feel good about their jobs. So we're grateful for our ed tech coaches and our library technology specialists and the schools that have supported us thus far. But, you know, with all those people, they can get in there, but the real ask and the real thing that we're wanting to do is to make sure our teachers have this space where they can create and still be who they are as teachers. So this is a little peek at what School AI looks like. So when a teacher comes in here, they have several things that they can do. They can create a space for their students. They can create a sidekick, which is like a personal tutor for their students. So we have several EL students in our buildings, right? Our teachers can actually make a sidekick that will help translate into their home language, which we've never really had that before in the classroom. Also, the teachers have tools and assistants. My very favorite thing is the assistants. I use Co-Teacher Assistant all the time, and it helps me generate ideas. It helps me rewrite paragraphs. It helps me do all these things that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. Another thing is, this is what a lesson would look like. So if a teacher was going to generate a lesson plan, all they do is put in a very few words, right? The topic, maybe a little bit of what they want, and within seconds, it generates this entire lesson plan for them. It has redirect, it has guided practice, it has assessments, it has reflections, and all I did was put in one sentence. And within seconds, it was there. And this is just such a time saver for our teachers. We've had lots of our teachers reach out and just say that this has just changed the way they teach. It's helping with tier 1 or tier 2 and tier 3. And we haven't really had an option in our own classroom without others coming in to help us. So we just want to really thank everybody. So far, we've been able to train our administrators. We've been in 9 different schools for specific school AI training. And then we've also had tons of groups reach out to us. So curriculum instructors, elementary librarians, our PLC grade level groups, our new teachers we've been able to reach out to, the English departments, the FACS departments, the math departments, and the list is just going to continue to go on. So we are just hoping that this has a very significant and lasting impact. And I'm going to turn the talk over to Alan.
And I guess my job is to talk about the impact. So Superintendent Butters, President Lettison, members of the board, thank you for your foresight in making this investment. As you can see, we've got some growth to do, but we also have some amazing possibilities and opportunities ahead. First of all, right now, we are at about 1,347 active users, which is right around 87% of the possible staff. So for the short time we've been using School AI, that's very high market penetration, if that's what you're looking for. We do have a little room for growth there, but there are some classes like yoga and welding that may never need to be in School AI. So we're getting close to completing our rollout in this adoption. What we're looking forward to then in the future is raising that level of adoption for students and teachers, getting them more engaged. School AI announced yesterday that they have an upcoming admin dashboard, which means building level administrators will be able to monitor progress within their own buildings, which will be very useful, I think. We also have opportunities for increased personalization, where a teacher can create a space, as Monica showed you, specifically just for one group of students or even just one student. Maybe there's a student who's very advanced in some subject area, that student could be in his or her own space. Or maybe a small group of students who needs some kind of intervention could also receive that from the AI. We're looking forward to more collaboration between teaching teams, PLC teams, and departments, where they can create content and then share it with each other, thus lightening the load for everybody on that team or in that department. I think that will be exceptionally useful in lightening that load, creating common formative assessments that they can share among their teammates. Right now also, School AI being a walled garden allows us to share information inside there that won't go outside to the wider internet. So teachers can take the results of a lesson they've created and put it right back into School AI to say, what are my next steps? What are the things I need to reteach? What can I do to extend the learning of my advanced students? All inside School AI, which is like voodoo magic. It's amazing how cool that is. I'm pleased to see that the 28 on Elevate 28 stayed where it was supposed to. It migrates around because for some reason this software can't do superscript, but it stayed, so I'm happy about that. Our main goal, of course, because our only product is student learning, our main goal is to improve our student learning. That's what we're trying to achieve, and I think School AI offers us the opportunity to increase that student learning as specified in Elevate 28 and in Utah's Portrait of a Graduate. And finally, saving time allows teachers and students to improve their morale. And that's, I think, essential for us to continue to maintain our growth here in the district. thank you for your foresight. Appreciate that. Do you have any questions? You probably have a lot, but if you do, just type in ChatGPT and it'll answer.
I could have used this 20 years ago.
Oh, tell me about it.
Jamie mentioned AI hallucination. I think my brain's been doing that for a while.
Exactly, right? Yeah. We appreciate your support, and if you have more questions, reach out to us. We'll come sit down with you and show you how it works. It's awesome.
President, can I make one comment while I have an opportunity? This mighty little small team, I mean, think about it. Four of these master teachers in their own right, led by Nick Harris and his expert leadership. What they're doing scope-wise across our district for our teachers is amazing. And I just want to make sure they understand how much we appreciate them and their hard work. So thank you.
Great job. Thank you. Dr. Beccarini, dual language immersion, please.
Okay. Right. So, Superintendent, President Widdowson, and board members, thank you for the opportunity to talk. I know I was going to talk to this last session. We ran out of little time, and I promised to leave Heidi plenty of time to do policy. So, as we are prepping to send out the survey, the study has expanded. Anytime you're looking at data, you can find yourself in a rabbit hole. And each hole that we've or each tunnel that we've followed is providing some pretty strong data. So I just want to update you on where my team is, and a huge shout out to Melissa Hadley and Tristan Keller for the work that they've done with this study. And we anticipate having a full comprehensive report to you guys for the February session. So with the survey, that we plan to roll that out after break. This time of year, people aren't always focused on their emails and completing the survey, so we figured a better response rate, and that survey is going to go out to parents and teachers. And that really is part of the goal of obtaining clarity on our current standings and desires throughout the district, not just in schools that have DLI, but also areas that may not have access to it, right? Because we want to look at, yes.
Yeah. Brian, thank you. I'm just going to interject. Board, we've had some pockets of discussion. Let me give you just a little bit more context because we didn't get a chance to visit this last month in the amount of detail I would want to, but we have had, over the last couple of years, an opportunity to really dig in and look at the programming pieces in our district, and are they aligned with Elevate 28, where we're trying to get around student learning. And one of the programs in our district that's been long-standing, it's serving kids very well, and so many kids are benefiting from it, is our dual language immersion program. And let me just, for those of you that might not be as familiar, let me just let you know that we have Chinese dual immersion in the north end of our, in the south end of our district. So at Bates Elementary, North Junior, and Weaver High, and then at Uinta Elementary, South Junior, and Bonneville. And then we also have a Spanish dual immersion program that serves Majestic Elementary, Orion to Weber, and then Freedom Elementary, Roy Junior to Roy High. And what we're really trying to get after is what is the health of both Chinese and Spanish DLI? What kind of feedback could we glean from those that are involved and those that maybe aren't involved? We've had some budgetary cuts around DLI from the state level. We're not receiving as much funding as we used to. But we just want to make sure that the programming we're offering is meeting the needs of our communities. But at the same time, what kind of feedback could we glean that can help us either improve it, streamline it, or maybe make some adjustments as we move forward? So I wanted to give you that context, Brian, and I apologize about interjecting, but if you have any questions based on that, let me know.
Okay. Yes. Oh, sorry. It's from the hallway. Okay.
Janice, do you have a question? Go ahead.
My question was, when you say that you're getting, feedback, is it going out through the programs? How does, if you have a community member who wants to contribute about it, how do they do that?
Yes, so we'll be,
Nope.
okay. So we'll be sending that out because parents who are already in a program, we've got different questions we want to ask them. And so we'll have kind of a display and skip logic throughout the survey based on how parents are responding. And we want this to go out to all areas, right? Because there are areas that may not have access to DLI that want to give their input into where those DLI programs are currently located. And that's the kind of access restraint goal of this study, is to determine are we providing the services to all constituents, and recognizing that not every program is going to, not every student's going to have access to every single program, depending on where they live. But what are the opportunities for other programs out there, right? And special programs, and that's really, where we look at DLI schools. And I alluded to this a couple of months ago. There's other programs to attract students to our schools, and in part that's our role as public educators, right? And there is competition within Weaver. We have charter schools that have certain special programs that do attract some of our students outside. So how do we create a competition for that, Superintendent?
That's great. And so Janice, I think what you'll find is we will get a survey in front of you, so you would know what survey questions we'll be sending out and how we'll go about that. But we want to really focus, after we get back from the holidays, on sending that out, gleaning some feedback, and then we'll walk the board through what kind of feedback we're getting around it, okay?
Thank you. I just have one question / comment. So I don't know how to include this in your survey, but one question that I have several friends, I have quite a few friends who've done the Chinese, and I have quite a few friends who've done Spanish. And I was with these friends recently, and their kids are in high school now, and I said, at the end of the day, has this been worth it to you? Are you glad you did the immersion? And my 3 friends in the Chinese, their answer was yes, and I said, why? And they said, because if my kid wasn't in the Chinese, then they wouldn't have been in class with the other smart kids. And I said, so are you happy that they know Chinese, or are you just happy that they had the right teachers? And they had a mixed bag response to that. And same with Spanish. And so that's, like I said, I don't know how you qualitatively ask that on a survey, but that's something that I'm interested in personally, is did this work for you? Because at the end of the day, you're so pleased with all 12 years of DLI. Did they come out fluent? Is it going to work for their future, or are you just glad that they had the best teachers?
Yeah, I think
or the best student peers.
We'll offer opportunities for them to provide those types of insights through qualitative response. In addition, I've worked with our secondary directors and looking at certain sets of students who trying to determine when they are leaving the program. Because what we do know is that when they hit high school, there's a decrease, right? And so we're looking at also doing some focus groups with the students to determine why, what was the reason, and because that's going to help us inform our decision as a district moving forward in a much more comprehensive manner.
Dr. Beckerini, if I could, part of our new schools that we just built, I think the kids would be fine, but I kind of like what Kelly's saying, is that the questions got to go up. The kids would be fine changing. Parents, no way. And so as we've gone through this, I've heard it from Weaver Cone, I've heard it from the Bonneville Cone, and really from the Roy Fremont Cone with the schools that we opened. We're doing waivers. We don't care. We're going wherever that Chinese immersion is, or wherever that Spanish is, we're going. That only might be 1% of what our total is, but if you hear it and then make a decision based off of the facts it might be easier to absorb.
Yeah.
Because some of them are digging their heels in, and you probably know that.
Yeah, and having done studies in other districts in regards to DLI, there's always going to be 2 ends of the spectrum, right? I think the primary goal of this study is to determine, what are the guidelines for if we're going to add in a program to a certain area, whether it's DLI or not, And then what are the expectations to maintain that program, right? From both a sensical standpoint, but also a fiscal standpoint in those regards. And I think having those guidelines in place prior, it helps schools and teams determine like, okay, well, do we need to step up our recruiting efforts? Do we need to, as a district, figure out different funding avenues? Are there grants out there, things like that, rather than just putting the program there and then letting what happens, right? And so I think it's that active involvement throughout any program that determines its success or failure.
The other thought I would throw in there, if you could, would be the financial part on our end is board of bringing people over to drop. When we first got going, we had all kinds of people wanting to come, and then it slowly got bigger and bigger problems on getting passports, getting citizenship, being able to start, and so that became a discussion in a lot of our meetings on how we make that happen. So again, if we can be as transparent as we can on why you're doing what you're doing and where the decision comes from, will probably be a lot easier to roll out.
Yes, absolutely. And then costs by subject is one of our data points that we've already gathered a lot of data. We're just compiling it to ensure validity and make it presentable in a way that is fair and understandable, because there's associated costs from a variety of levels for any special program that you put in there, not just what we necessarily see on a book.
Well, I was going to say, especially at the secondary level, I do know, like, my one friend, her son was a senior at Weber High last year, and there were 2 kids in his Spanish class, or Chinese class last year, 2. And I mean, that's hard to justify to continue a program for seniors when you have 2 kids and 1 student.
And that would be part of those guidelines, right? Like, what are the guidelines to maintain those programs in regards to enrollment, costs, things of that nature?
Board, one thing I would add too, just so for your reference, most every district right now of our size or larger is going through a study or has gone through a study around ELI the last few years, as you likely know. So I just want to make sure you know that we're endeavoring on something that many districts are in the middle of right now as well.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's finish up here with Heidi Alder, please, and some policy review.
Good evening, board. We have 2 new policies. Two policies on a first reading. Neither one of them are new. The first policy is policy 7900. It's our employee corrective action policy, and we haven't changed this policy in years and years and years. And we thought it would be a good idea to update the policy to specify what an employee can be disciplined for, and then also include information about the difference between performance evaluations and potential termination for performance issues versus termination for conduct issues. A lot of these procedures are outlined in our negotiated agreement that we negotiate with both our classified and certified employees. We felt it would be appropriate to include, at a minimum, the statutory definitions that apply to our employees and to discipline and to potential termination, and then just a minimal amount of procedure so that anyone looking at our policies can see what we will be applying and implementing when we're dealing with an employee issue, whether it's performance or conduct. So that is the reason for the change in 7900. There is very little substantive change. There is one substantive change though that I do want to draw your attention to, and just for sake of time, I won't find it right here in the policy. But we had another policy that required the administrators to send a notice to a provisional employee, someone who's been employed for 3 years, if that employee was going to advance to career status. And in practice, that wasn't really happening. And it made it difficult then to identify who our provisional employees are and who our career status. The law doesn't require us to notify someone. If someone is employed with us for 3 years, they've been doing satisfactory, their 4th year, they are considered a career status employee. We don't, by law, have to notify them. So we took that out just because it wasn't happening anyway. So that is the one substantive change. The rest are just merely pulling from the negotiated agreement and then spelling out in more detail the policies that, if violated, could get an employee in trouble. The next policy that we updated is policy 7100, our employment harassment and discrimination policy. This has been a long time in coming. We updated our student discrimination and harassment policy years ago. And at that time, we were asked by the WEA to also update our employee discrimination and harassment policy to align with our students so that we had similar definitions of what discrimination is, what harassment is. So that's what we did. There are different state and federal laws that apply in the employment context when we're talking about discrimination. And so we incorporated those into this policy rather than just have the same policy for students and employees. But it looks very much like our student discrimination and harassment policy in terms of the definitions of discrimination, discriminatory harassment, and then examples of what that might look like. Those are the total of our new or amended policies on first reading. Any questions I can answer about either of those?
I was just gonna say, I like that you got those new emails set up.
Yes.
For the Title VII and Title IX coordinator. I think that is great.
Yeah, we also included a formal process by which an employee or anybody can submit a complaint of discrimination, and we created an email address to go to whoever it is that is over that particular area, rather than we've run into problems in the past when it's tied to a particular person. When that person is out of that position, it just goes nowhere, and then we don't know about the complaint. So, okay.
As I read through these policies, I was in 7100 and I noticed in section 3, first B, subsection B, it specifically says teasing, so I probably should apologize to our legal counsel for some of the comments I've made in the
I thought about
past
filing a
for our
complaint, we haven't
ongoing
informed the process.
review of policy.
Now I can, because now we have a process.
It did say teasing specifically.
Send it to the email.
The other ones on consent are some repeals of policies that we've combined with other policies, and some updates to include statutory definitions and changes. They include 2020-40 rules governing use of facilities. We changed the name to facilities use policy. 4310 grading and parent notification, we've actually repealed that because we combined it with our graduation requirements. It was one of those policies that was like one line or one paragraph, and when we have those short policies, we just put it into another policy as we're cleaning up. 4370 incorporated what was in 4310, and then 7130, the employee career status, had definitions that we included in 7900 now, and then now we have no reason for 7130. So those are the reasons for the policies that are on consent. No procedural changes, no substantive changes, just combining and repealing and trying to clean it all up. Any questions about any of those policies?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else for our study session? If not, we'll adjourn and start our regular board meeting at 6 o'clock. Thank you.